All right, let me just close the door here.
Okay.
All right. Standing up today.
Good.
All right.
Should try to sit as
Standing up
little as
today.
possible. Good. It's bad for your prostate. Sitting
Just
too much gets you prostate cancer.
yeah, it's not really relevant to me. I ride my bike for like 12 hours a week.
That's okay.
All right. So, how are you, Stevens?
I'm okay. Pretty good.
Cool, cool, cool. So let's just post this on social media, aka Discord.
You have a goal. You have a subscriber goal and
Yeah, I
follower
have a
goal.
subscriber goal and a follower goal.
What is this, like weekly?
No, it's per session.
So you want 15 subscriber per session
Per session. Yeah,
and 25 follower
yeah,
per session.
per session. That's what I want.
What, you want to be like a Twitch star?
No, it's
That's
just
where you go.
good
Where you're
good to
going.
have good to have goals. You know.
All right.
Look, I think the content that this specific channel has, I think you cannot find it anywhere else. Um, and
Yep.
I think it's worth it for people to come here and watch it and follow and subscribe and support the stream. You do you disagree?
I agree.
All right. Cool. So let's go ahead and get started. So what's going on with here? Binary Sloth 3. Thank you for the follow, man. Much appreciated. You see, already 1 out of 25. It's like 1 minute in. You know?
Good.
All right. So, no green screen today, and I'm standing today. So, let's see what's what. Cool. So, what do we want to do today? Should we iterate on what we want to do?
Yeah, let's have a little game plan.
Cool. So here's what we want to do. Let me try and sketch it out. Just 1 second. Sorry. All right. So let's sketch it out. Here. Start drawing, and we want this here. Cool. So we have Slack on this side. All right. Slack communicates with this node.js, right? Wait, just all right.
Okay.
And then this Node.js communicates with a React application.
Do we decide to use Node.js as the backend server, or
Well,
that's just
no,
part of the
just for
service?
this service.
Ah,
And then this will be here, and this will go back here, right? So you will basically chat from Slack. You will chat with something, right? And then this will get kind of notified from into this Node.js application.
yep.
And this Node.js application will communicate with React. and React will communicate back, and the Node.js will communicate back. So basically, we are building like multi-channel chat that is platform agnostic. Right?
Okay. Platform agnostic meaning that it can go multi-platform?
Yeah. Yeah, so this Slack can be, this can be SMS too, right? Or it can be like a widget.
Okay.
Doesn't really matter, right?
Yep.
Cool. Welcome Napcats, welcome Binary Sloth 3 to the stream. Hope you guys stick around. Yeah, I didn't stream on Friday. I was supposed to stream on Friday, but I did not stream on Friday. Pixel Pro.co, welcome to the stream, mate. So this is kind of our plan with like what we're gonna build today, and what I think is that we're gonna get somewhere, right? So here's the deal, right? In terms of like architecture, let's talk a little bit about the architecture here. So in terms of the architecture, let's do like an architecture 2.md here, right? So once the app is authenticated on the Slack platform, you will get a chat ID that you will be able to communicate with, right? You need to store this chat ID in the database, in which case you need to store it in the database. You then use that chat ID from the database in order to communicate with the socket messages coming from the React applications. Right? So the data flow is this. One, Slack, you get a token. Token, you store it in the database. Right? Message, you get a chat ID, or actually a channel ID. Right? That channel ID, you store it in the database. Right? Then from the React application, you get a socket ID. You use this socket ID in combination with the token and the channel ID in order to communicate the message back to Slack. Right?
Okay.
Spence, hola, how are you, man? Hey, Stevens, I don't know if you heard, but Spence got a job.
Congratulations.
Spence got a job, man. It's great news.
Yeah.
Great news.
Congrats.
Well, you're not hanging in the Discord, so you're not in the news, you know?
Yeah, I log in, but like sometimes I miss out on the messages.
All right. Professional. Yeah, man. Congratulations, man. Really, really congratulations. You worked hard for it, you know? We just gotta peek into your journey. I'm sure it was long and arduous, but now you're a fucking software engineer. So congratulations, man. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. And just swim against the current, man, like a fucking salmon.
Yep.
Just swim against the current. Whatever happens, you just gotta swim. Waves crashing on you. You just gotta swim. All right. So, the thing is that right now, we don't have a lot of this. And we started with like the Jumpy server, or we called it Bugsy. What did we call it? We had this server in like Rails, right?
No,
Yeah, we did. We had this like Jumpy temp server. And this is io.onConnection, and then console.log. This is the timer. And then we had this client. And then we Jumpy callbacks thing, man. And then we had this app, and we had controller, and we had this auth controller. You remember that? And then we had the client ID and the client secret.
Right, okay.
And then we need to store that in the database. So, Ezra Flag, welcome to the stream.
The user management system and the connection management system.
Sorry? Yeah, so we need to, start with like something here. And I think we kind of stopped on like deciding on no. So we're going to build it with Node and Python. So here we have this Jumpy callbacks thing, which we had with the controller, and we had this auth controller here. And then all we did is basically render the JSON back. So, we didn't really do a lot with it. So we need to start, kind of from scratch here, right?
Okay.
So let's go ahead and start. Cookie cutter. All right, so we're gonna do this. So we're gonna go to cd Jumpy here, and we have the chat client, and we're gonna do cookie cutter with a microcosm service, and we're gonna do yes. And then author is Avi Sorel. Author email is avi@usejumpy.com. Organization name is Jumpy. Repo name is Jumpy. Jumpy callbacks. And how should we call this? Let's like Intel project code names. All right, so let's find something. So we're gonna call this Avalon. Project name is Avalon. Project version is this. Callback server. Callback, or should we call it Slack? Callback server. And service port is going to be 5,000. All right, so now we have...
What is cookie cutter?
Avalon. Cookie cutter is a templating... is just a template for projects. All right, so now we have Avalon and we have migrations. As you can see, we have like this initial revision. We have models with this example model. We have resources with this example resources and everything. And what we're going to use is we're going to do, come on, make virtual end with Python 3, and we're going to call it Avalon. All right.
So let me ask a question. So this microcosm thing, since it's right now only used by globality, does it even have documentation?
Oh yeah. It has a lot of documentation.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. How many people do we have online right now? We have like 10. So first of all, welcome everybody. Make sure you say hey in the chat. And if you have questions, then let me know. We try to answer all of the questions that come up on the stream. All right, so now we're gonna call run server, and we're gonna go to HTTP here 5000. And if you look, we have API Swagger, like V1 Swagger here. So we already have.
Can you
Swagger.
go a little bit slower here, because I really have no idea what's going on right here, and I think the rest of the chat also have no idea what's going on here.
Yeah, so we just created a project, and what I'm showing you is that this project already has Swagger. So you have some API with like example, and you can see that you can get example, post example, you can delete example with an example ID. You can get an example with an example ID, and you can put example with an example ID. And now we need to create our model for the callbacks thing, right?
Okay.
So let's go ahead and create a new tmux session called Avalon. And we're going to split this into 2 parts. Right, so we're gonna work on Avalon here, and we're gonna run the server. Right? Yeah, Swagger is amazing. I mean, when you have microservices, Swagger is absolutely essential. All right, so we have stores, and we have this example store. And then we have this retrieve by name. So let's see where this is being used. Retrieve by name. All right, here. And then we have this filter. All right. Cool.
So is this like a what is it? This is like a model?
Well, this is a store. So in microcosm, you have a model, you have a resource, you have a controller, and you have a store. And the store is like the kind of repository template thing, and it uses SQL Alchemy for which is the kind of the active record of Python. All right. So let's go ahead and look at the models. And I'm not sure we need a model right now. But what we do need is we need a resource and we need a controller. All right, so let's go ahead and create a new resource, right? So we're going to make dir-p. And we're going to call it Avalon resources. And we're going to call it auth resource, right? And then we're going to touch Avalon resources auth, and then __ init __ .py. And then we're going to create Avalon resources auth, and then crud crud.py. Let's take a look at the example here. And then this is going to be auth crud routes, and this is going to be auth. All right.
What was there a reason for the naming convention Avalon, or is that something
Oh,
you come up with?
just a look. It's not a convention. It's just a name of the project.
Okay.
All right. So then this is auth routes, and we're gonna see auth schema from auth resources. All right, so now let's go ahead and make dir-p. Let's see what we have here. So in terms of resources, we have everything in one. So we're going to go and do Avalon resources, and we're going to call auth resources.py. And this is auth. And we don't need the new. And what we're going to need is the auth schema. And this has a code, which is fields.string.
What is auth schema? Is that like a table? Like, can you kind of walk us through like what you're actually doing here? I'm just trying to guesswork.
Yeah, but right now it's like you'll see when it connects, because right now it's not connected. What I'm doing right now is I'm plumbing, you know?
Right.
So from Marshmallow, we're going to import a schema. We don't need links. We don't need namespace. And yeah, we don't need all of this. So this is from schema. And for now, we don't need the model. We don't need page schema. We don't need operation. We don't need links. We only need the fields and the schema. What is going on? This should be 2. All right, cool. So now, if I go back to the auth crud, I can use auth schema here. And then we have operation replace, operation retrieve, and we use operation.search. And then this is controller.retrieve, and it's going to be the auth schema. Okay, this is Flask, exactly. This is Flask. So we don't need this transactional for now. All right, so now I have a route and I have a resource. And you can look at the auth resource here, right? And I have a route. So now I go to the app.py and I use this route here. So auth routes. Okay.
Graph
No, we don't use Django. We use Flask with a custom framework above Flask.
So this is actually Flask based.
This is Flask. Yeah, this is Flask with like a lot of smart things above it.
So is Flask as little as Sinatra, or is it a little bit more powerful?
Yeah.
Sinatra?
Yeah. So now we go Avalon, and we go routes, and we go auth. Shit. What? Didn't I have an auth? Wait. Avalon routes. What? Where did I put it? Auth routes. What? Where did I put it? Oh, it's in resource. No, it shouldn't be in resource. 1 second, I put it in the wrong place. So then this should be here. So make dir-p auth and then touch underscore underscore init underscore underscore dot py. So no, I never used Django before. And the reason we opted for Flask is because it's lightweight, and we have a better framework above it than Django. That's kind of the main reason that we chose it. All right, so now routes and Crud. So routes auth crud .py. So we're gonna move this file into Avalon routes auth and crud.py. Right, so now routes and init. All right, so now here, where am I? So we have this crud. And we have this. So 1 second. So I'm missing the import. Oh, here we have this example controller here. So let's import auth, and for stores we don't need it for now. Okay, so now we're gonna create an Avalon routes auth and controller.py. Controller, and this is going to be auth, and this is going to be the auth controller, right?
Okay.
And the subject is going to be auth. For now, we can actually put this an example. It's okay. Right, and then we're going to have a def retrieve. One second. Oh, sorry. 1 second. Let me look at the documentation here. Oh, we need the search. Yeah, so we need the search. So let me paste something here. And this is auth. And here we have a code equals none because we're going to get a code. And then here we're just going to print the code. Or actually, what do we have here? So let's put like items equals to like an empty array for now. And then we're going to return the items and 0. Okay. So now let's try to run the server.
So search like an endpoint in the example controller?
Just 1 second. So auth crud and controller.retrieve. So this should be controller.search. And controller here is actually the auth controller. So let's run the server. And let's see what we have here. So view function mapping is overriding existing endpoint example.retrieve.v1. So this is auth routes. So let's add an auth model as well. Actually, you know what? Let's not have this at all. All right. So we need missing required position argument store. Yeah, so I see this. example. So something is off here. Let me see what. View function mapping is overriding existing endpoint function. Example retrieve 1. So this is coming from routing, and it's coming from auth crud line 24. 24. So it's here. What? Example controller. Oh. So this is auth controller. And this is super auth controller. Right, so now run server. Still. All right, so let's go to Avalon stores, and let's create an auth store.py. Oh, why do I need this model? I mean, come on, it's so stupid. Oh, so my line numbers are relative. It's actually a pretty common. It's actually a pretty common thing. So what happens is that the line that I'm on shows the number, but then above and below you get relative. So then, for example, I can go 10 lines down, and then I can go 13 lines up. And it's easier to just move up and down instead of like knowing the number. So for example, I can mark this and go 5 lines down and then delete the entire block. And this was very slow, but when I need it like fast, then I can do it really fast, right? And if I'm like in the middle of my zone, then I can do it really, really fast. So that's the relative numbering in Vim, and this is what I use it for. So auth and then controller here. So auth controller. 1 second here. So what I want is a controller that is not related to a store.
Can you explain again what is exactly does a store do? Because earlier I didn't really understand.
This is Vim. This is Vim. So a store just stores items inside of the storage system that you want, right? So it can be your database, it could be a file, it can be anything you want.
Like it's a layer between the database and the model. I'm sorry, I still have no idea. Like that didn't make sense to me.
Do you understand what's the line 24? Oh, is it the?
Are you listening to my question or no?
Crud.py, auth crud.py.
Are you just ignoring my question?
Yes, for now. Just 1 second. Graph and then the search, and then this is auth routes. Why is it rewriting? I don't understand. It's not really rewriting anything. So then this is line 24. Where's line 24 here? 24. Configure CRUD graph, and then controller.ns, and then mapping. All right. So here seems like it's not liking that I have 2 controllers trying to do the same thing. So let's create, for now, let's create this auth. And then here, auth model, Avalon models, auth model.py. Auth. So is this auth model? All So this is auth model, and then this is going to be the auth model. All right, so table name, for example, is going to be auth, and then we're going to have a name. All right. So then inside app.py, all right, so now let's run the server. Cannot import name auth. All right, so this is in the controller, auth controller. Yes, so this is in the auth model now. And now if you run the server, cannot import name auth. Auth model. Oh, come on. All right, so this is auth. All right, so now we have our server running. And if we run explore again, you see that we have an auth with an auth ID as a get. You see this?
Well, you still haven't answered my question, so I'm still thinking about the previous question I'm asking. So
yeah, let's go ahead. What's your question?
So what is the data? What is a store?
A store is like an active record.
Okay, so it's a layer between the persistent layer and the application.
Yeah, like I told you. It's
Okay, now I get it.
All right, so we have an auth that adds a get endpoint, and this. Let's see what we have here. So this should be search with the code. So this is auth schema, and this should be search actually, and not retrieve. So now when this is search, you'll see what happens. If I do explore here, you'll see a get auth. You see?
Okay.
And when you go to try it out, you'll see that you can just search for something. And then the request schema is going to be auth schema. So now what you'll see, again, when I refresh this thing, you'll see that you can have this code in the query string. You see?
Okay.
So now the auth has a /get auth, and it has a slash like a code. So when I put a code like this, right, and I execute, what happens is that I get this thing with like the /auth and question mark code, and I get back an empty list of items, right?
So does this actually execute the request?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's
yeah. This is actually runs on the
Okay.
Yeah, it's a parameter. It's like a query string parameter. And what you see here, that everything is driven by the schema, right? So if I go to the resources and the auth resource, then you see that the auth schema, right, has a code, and it's a field a string, and it's required. So if I try to run it without it, and I execute, what you'll see is like a fail to fetch, because it's required.
So this schema, it's a schema for the controller logic? Is that what it is?
Yes, it's like, if you think about it, you see this, like missing data for required field. You see?
Right.
Validation error.
Ah, okay, so it's a validation layer.
Yeah.
For the controller,
so,
not for the model.
So the schema, if you think about it, right? So the schema is a way to, a schema is a way to understand what is your model, right? And think about it. What we did here, we didn't like create this Swagger, but by adding the schema and like hard coding it, quote unquote, to a model, and hard coding it again, quote unquote, to a schema, then we get this get/auth, and with code, with a query string, and we get validation for free. We get this documentation for free. You get like a lot of things for free. You know?
Yep, that's pretty cool. So, but I guess maybe I missed it. We don't have a model yet, do we?
Yeah, I added a model, but right now what I'm trying to kind of bypass here that we're not going to need like a full-blown model here. So this is not going to be a Crud store adapter, which actually ties to the database, but it's going to be something like, you know, I don't know, like something with like Slack code store adapter or something like that. You know what I mean? Which at the end is gonna create something on the database, right?
Do we need to, if every time we add an endpoint, do we also need to edit the schema? Are they like coupled tightly? The schema and the controller?
Yeah. Yeah. Schema, the controller, and the resource are tightly coupled.
Okay.
And it's by design they're tightly coupled. They're tightly coupled because rarely that you will add a controller that doesn't add like a resource. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So you want to tie it to a resource. All right, so let's go and visit kind of the Twitch chat, see what people are saying, shit they're talking. So Top Dog Coder 187. First of all, Top Dog, it's the first time I see you around here. I think I would remember your username. So welcome. Casey Brinegar, hi. How are you? And Finitech X. You know you are a hardcore dev when you're using Vim. How did you get the API endpoints? So again, this is our kind of framework above it. And what happens is that when you add this operation.search, behind the scenes, it's getting tied to a resource, and behind the scenes, it's getting tied to, you know, to generating this Swagger definitions. So if I, for example, if I add an operation.retrieve here, the way that I had before, and I don't know, like something like this, then what I'll see is when I hit explore here, oh, it blew up. Just 1 second. Of course, it blew up. So it blew up because here I don't have a CRUD store, and here run server. So now, if I go and I explore, what you'll see is that I have two gets. So I have one with get/auth and one with get/auth/auth ID. So we have an operation for everything, right? And if we do, for example, an operation.delete, right? So what you'll see again is that this adds a delete. And if I do an operation.create, this will add a post. And if I do an operation.replace, then this will add a put.
So this is the file that defines the routes, right?
Yeah.
This is like the route.rb.
Yeah. So this is exactly. So this is the routes.rb here. And then, as you can see, every route points to a specific controller method.
Yep.
And then the controller here is tied to a specific store, and the store is tied to a specific model.
Yep.
Right?
So when you say resource, are you referring to like a what are you referring to when you say resource?
So resource is
it like a collection of items, or is it a single file you're referring to?
A resource is a way to define a request and a response based on a model.
Okay, so it's like the resource in Rails, same definition. Is it?
Well, not exactly. I don't think you have that in Rails, so to speak. But a resource is a way to define a schema. And a schema is a way to define a common language between what I expect to get from you and what you should expect to get from me.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So for example, here in the auth resources, you see I have a code. And you know I expect a code from you. And you see that here. So, dude, I expect a code from you. And if I add something
schema
here, like some other thing, and this is UUID. I think this is UUID. I'm pretty sure this is UUID. And I hit explore, then what you'll see some other string. And now this string is also validating that this is a UUID. You know what I'm saying? So if you put like try it out here, if you put like 333 here, 333 is not a valid, you see? So 333 is not a valid UUID. So when you hit execute, it's telling you, dude, this is not a valid UUID.
But is this validation done on this, like, to what extent is this validation? Like, if a request come in without these required parameter, it's simply just not going to run at all?
Yeah, it's just going to tell you, look, I cannot, for example, let's run this right now with v1 auth, and it's telling you code is missing data for required field. So now let's do code equals to 333. So now code is not there, but some other thing is there. And if we add this some other thing equals to this, then we're telling you, hey, this is not a valid UUID. And you get all of this for free.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Okay, but then I assume you can also have optional parameters. You have to have it, right?
Well, you can have an optional parameter. All you need to do is have that this is required false. And that's it. You're done.
Got it.
Right?
Okay.
So now you cannot have this, and you can still run it and get the items.
All right. Makes sense. That's a resource. It's a schema for the controller and for the controllers.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So this is what's cool about it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a really like whole framework for running these things.
But this is Flusk. This is not microcosm logic.
This is all microcosm. So everything here, everything that you see here, this like operation. So operation is coming from microcosm Flusk. You see this configure Crud is coming from microcosm Flusk. This endpoint definition is coming from microcosm Flusk. Microcosm API binding is setting these auth routes, right? So it's think about it. It's like wait, Casey Brinegar. Thank you for the follow, much appreciated. Hope you enjoy the content. So
this concept of resource is something specific to microcosm.
Yeah.
This was not part of Flusk.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What about the store? Is that also a microcosm thing?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Cool. What do you mean one of my projects? You mean one of the projects that, like, give me a category, dude. I've been doing this for 16 years. Which project do you want to see? You want to see like a project that's been done with microcosm? You want to see a project that's been done with, like, you know what I'm saying? So give me some directions. What do you want to see? I'll be more than happy to show you whatever you want, but just like give me some directions about what you want to see. My most advanced project.
Ah, man. Oh my God. this is a nightmarish question to ask.
Dude, this is crazy.
Yeah, don't go this route.
Don't go this route. Exactly.
It's just gonna. You're just starting a fire here. So.
No, don't go there. Y3 per Y. Thank you for the follow. Much appreciated.
Well, because the point of the stream is not really to kind of like show off.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the
right?
idea.
Like that's why we try to not do it that much. But you know, if you kind of keep pushing him, then he's gonna do it, and then he's gonna take a while. So, but anyways.
All right. So someone is asking, Yemper is asking, what editor is this, or what editor do you use? So the editor that I'm using is Vim, and I'm using it inside of Tmux in the terminal. And my dot files are all open source, so you can actually see them. Cancel dev dot files. So there are my dot files, and there is my Vim configuration. So enjoy, knock yourself out. Well, you don't need to know how to set up. You have my dot file, so you can literally copy my setup. Yamper, yes, we have a Discord. Here it is, sir. There it is. Enjoy and join in. And the discussions are always lively. And the stream is online. Even the Discord is online, even when the stream is offline. So, do you want to spend a couple minutes talk about an advanced project, Stevens, or you want to move on?
You can do it. Yeah, you can do it. I don't mind.
Cool.
Since this is a request, yeah, I guess there's quite a few, kind of new users here, so I guess it doesn't hurt.
All right, cool. So let's talk a little bit about, dude, what do I give? It's like, to me, the advanced project can have two meanings. And one of those meanings can be the impact that it had on the company bottom line. And with this specific category, there is nothing comparing to the MongoDB migration or the hotels recalculation. So let's talk about these two projects for like 2 minutes each. So at the previous company that I worked for, which Stevens, who is on the other line, still works for, we had a data warehouse built with MongoDB. And this data warehouse was costing us like a lot of money. When I say a lot of money, I mean a lot of money. And it probably was around $250,000 a year just to run that database, just one database, just to host it, not even to run it, not even like the man hours it took to handle it, not like nothing, just like hosting. And one of the things that I $250,000, so $250,000 to host this database a year, just this database alone. So one of the projects that I've done is that I took this data warehouse and I migrated it over to a much more simplistic data structure and a much more simplistic data ingestion strategy. And it was costing, at the end of the migration, it was costing, I don't know, like $15 a month. So from $250,000 a year to like $15 a month. not 15,000, 15, like 1 5. The other project that, to me, to this day, was my what do I call it? I like to call it my dude. What do I call it? I always call it by a name. It's my most brilliant work ever, and this is this thing. So let's go to trip.com and let me show you this. Where's the mobile here? This is this like a thing? Can I show this thing? Is it like /mobile?
What are you trying to do?
Yeah, this thing. So you see this like app?
Yeah.
So the way that this works, as you can see here, this is like San Francisco, and this is Sally's Thursday morning. So you'll see breakfast and brunch spots and like this weekend's events. And based on you and your preferences and the time of day and the weather and everything kind of mishmashed together, you will get a list of modules. Now, you will get a list of modules in a way that the application doesn't have to be migrated at all. So the application gets a list of modules, and then it gets a list of URLs to hydrate the data for those modules. So you'll get like 15 modules and say like the titles of the modules, and then a list of URLs that will hydrate those modules, right? So the application doesn't have to update at all. Now, the best thing about it is that part of this is developing a language for product managers, even for the CEO, to literally define modules based on simple text. So you will say weather is greater than 80 but smaller than 95, and the day is Tuesday, and you are part of this and this tribes, then show this module. And the module is completely configurable and like completely, completely like dynamic. And I've done this, Stevens, when was this? Like a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
So I've done this a year and a half ago. This till this day runs the app, and this is the home of the app. So this to this day runs the app. It had, based on my knowledge, I left the company like 7 months ago. No bugs that are serious bugs, and it's still like running the app, and like it didn't require any change and anything, right? So this is my the most brilliant API I ever created, and I actually won the best API in travel for this specific API. So think about it. So think about it, who's in travel, right? It's like companies with like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of employees, and it was pretty cool to like win this award. Funny story is when I left my award on my desk.
What?
So I didn't even take my award with me.
You didn't take it?
No, it's the company's award. It's not mine. It's not like,
okay.
So yeah, this is so there's a convention called API Worlds, and they give a best API in like whatever, best API in whatever.
So Top Dog Coder, like not to make fun of it, this is like a real thing because we're comparing with API of TripAdvisor and Yelp and that sort of stuff. This is not like a small time kind of thing, something somebody made up. So this API is on par. The competitors are TripAdvisor and Yelp and all those gigantic companies, and we won this award basically. So
Yeah. So this was part of a like a big launch and a big like rebrand for the company, and so this was like a very centric and still is. You know, it's like the homepage, like the first thing you see. And think about it, because it's the first thing you see, and the first thing you experience, it has to work like flawlessly and like super fast. So we did a lot of like perception of performance. We did a lot of work on performance, and a lot of like iterations regarding like how this thing works. But as far as my knowledge goes, this still runs to this day. And this was completely custom. So all I got was like, we want this. You know what I'm saying? Like the like vision from the product managers and from the CEO, and then I built it. So yeah, this is my to this day, this is the project that I love the most. But by far, by far. I think it had like the most impact on on the company's bottom line.
Yep.
Dirty Law 00, thank you for the follow, much appreciated. I do hope you enjoy the content, and hope you stick around. All right, so now the third one is this. You remember this, Stevens?
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, this is both the backend and the client side is it's based on your work.
Yeah. So this is both the backend is the same API that you saw before, and I did the front end here from scratch with React and Redux. So you can see specific like hotels. You can look at pictures of the hotels. You can look at the reviews. You can look at pricing details, hotel class, and everything. You can zoom into the map. You can show attractions, and you can show restaurants. And this is all you can see. Like you can filter. Again, you can move the map, and so on and so forth. So this is fully like React and Redux. And this is another project that I've done like right before I left. I think a couple months before I left. Yep. So this is it. Maybe I should do a video on YouTube and then like link to it when people ask. All right. So top dog coder. I hope I hope I answered your question to satisfaction. All right. So what are we on? What do we do now?
All right. Get back to work.
Yeah, let's get back to work.
Too many questions, top dog coder. Next time.
It's okay. It's okay. No worries. So I used a combination of Lambda and S3. So the data is stored in JSON files in S3. The ingestion system is written with Lambda, and the data is combined and manipulated using MapReduce. So it's not stored in the database anymore. It's stored in DynamoDB for fast access, but it's only stored in DynamoDB after it's being it was manipulated. So the raw data is stored in S3, just like dumped there. And the dumping system is using Lambda, and then again MapReduce into DynamoDB and into MySQL and so on and so forth and so on and so forth. All right. So let's do this. We have this, and let's delete everything that we've had because we only need this search thing. But now you understand the concept of the schema and the concept of the response schema and the concept of everything?
Yep.
Cool. And in the response schema, by the way, you can also see what you get, right? So you see in the example value what you get. You'll see like an items with code and a string. You see? Because this is like the response schema. Damn it. So the today is not updated. Let me so we are working on this. And let me just update the working command. And let's update that working. All right, so now working is working. Apple Pay. Wow, Apple Pay. Thank you for the follow. Much appreciated, man. Much
like
appreciated.
The real Apple Pay?
I don't think it's the real Apple Pay, Stevens. I don't think Apple Pay has a Twitch account. You know? It's like if you saw Tim Cook on like a nickname on Twitch, do you think it's like the real Tim Cook?
Yeah, why not? I see real Donald Trump on Twitter all the time.
No, Twitter is something else. I mean Twitch. If you see like a nickname called Tim Cook, do you think it's like the real Tim Cook?
Yes, why not?
So you think like Tim Cook in his spare time spends, on my channel on Twitch, watching me code Python and talking to you?
Yeah, why not? I bet he watched porn too.
All right. Now that we got that out of the way, Stevens. All right. So now we need to do this Slack thing with the code and what?
All right, my bad. I should have never started that conversation.
What is happening? I don't understand. Like the Twitch is like, people in the chat room, please do not get dragged by Stevens. It's like it's a slippery slope. It's a very 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 slippery slope. So don't go there. It's like it's a road that is not well traveled. And it's gonna get you places you do not want to go. Trust me.
All right.
God. Stevens is 8. Oh, Stevens, man, it's like crazy. How do you pick up yourself? How do you pick up yourself after this? Like after a statement like this, it's like how do you continue with life with like coding? Damn. All right. So now we have our auth controller. And inside of our auth controller, we want our code that will go to Slack and generate everything, right?
Yeah. Are we still going to use Node to do the authentication on Slack?
No, we are using Python. We're using this.
All right.
All right. So now I want to show you another nice thing.
Okay.
All right. So here I'm gonna print self.graph.config. All right. You with me?
Yeah. Yep.
And when I go and I refresh here, API v1 auth and code equals 333, for example. Then what you'll see, you see this? This is the configuration.
The configuration for what? For the controller?
Yeah.
Okay,
no, the configuration for the app.
For the entire application.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. So we have a way to see it.
Yeah, so now that you go and you do like export, for example, Avalon __ something __ whatever equals to something, right?
Yeah.
And you run the server, then this will get kind of smushed in to our config.
What did you do there? Like,
I exported like a special Cranigan, welcome back. Haven't seen you in a while.
I see.
Yemper, thank you for the subscription, man. Much appreciated. A $4.99 subscription. Everybody, let's give some eyes to Yemper, man. Everybody that can give an eye to Yemper, let's give him an eye. He deserves an eye.
How do you do that? Just type it.
You do Kenso DI. Yemper. Only subscribers have it.
Well, I'm a subscriber.
Yeah, you do Kenso D, like colon Kenso DI, and then you'll see that. Oh, busy with school, man. So Yemper, feel free to spread that eye all over the Twitch sphere. It will be fun. Now that's all right. That's all right, man. That's all right. No worries. Yeah. So what's your question?
So basically, this export operation just adds one more line of configuration.
Yeah.
To the app config.
Yeah.
And one more thing is, why do you do init in the controller? Is that like a convention to do that?
So you see this? Something, whatever, something. You see?
Yeah.
So this is Avalon something, whatever. So then something and then whatever equals to something. So just by defining like a specially designed environment variable, then you can get configuration. So for example, if I get another thing here, and then this will be like Apple Pay, then when I do run server, then you see this. So then another thing equals Apple Pay, and it's all under like something. So you can get like a really well designed configuration here with like secrets and like a lot of stuff. So another thing that Microcosm does is that you see this like app.py. You see this load from environ.
Mm-hmm.
So it loads kind of the configuration from environment variables. And there is also load from DynamoDB, like so. And when you do this load from DynamoDB, what it does, it actually loads configuration from DynamoDB, and it decrypts the storage there. So you can store secrets in DynamoDB and decrypt it. So for example, if you have passwords, or if you have, API keys, client secrets, everything that you don't want accessible in simple text, then you can store it in DynamoDB, and then it will load it into the same configuration structure as the rest of your configuration. So for example, if you have like an environment variable called auth0 client ID, which is something like this, and then inside secrets you have auth0 client secret, which is something like, like a secret, right? Mm-hmm. So it will decrypt it before the server boots up, and then put it in this config in memory. So in terms of like accessing, so whenever you're accessing, like environment variables and secrets, you have it running, you have it bootstrap whenever the thing runs.
It's interesting.
All right. So it's already 9:30. I think for today we're gonna say good night. And we are gonna be here tomorrow. Just 1 second. So we're gonna be here tomorrow, same time, so 8 p.m. PST tomorrow. So come back and check it out. So as always, what we're gonna do is gonna open it up to questions in the last couple of minutes of the stream. And if anybody has any questions to me or to Stevens that you want answered, then please feel free to ask it now, or forever hold your peace until tomorrow at 8 p.m. All right, no questions?
Right. I have a question. What Python version management tool are you using?
So I'm using virtualenv.
Virtualenv?
Yeah, virtualenv.
Did you put it in the chat? I don't see it.
No, I haven't. I have put something else.
Okay. Virtualenv. So this is package management, isolated Python environment. Okay.
So etisdo, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. So you want an example of a hash table in like JavaScript, or like what language? What language? What do you mean you don't understand them well? So in terms of JS framework that I've used, I've used almost all of them, and I used Angular since before 1.0. I've used React. I still use React. I've settled on React. And I've said before on the stream that I don't give a shit about whatever Angular has new or whatever Vue has new. I think this contributes to a lot of fatigue that a lot of engineers feel towards towards JavaScript and towards engineering in general. So again, if you settled on something, I think it's completely fine. I have no religious argument with you. What I'm saying is that once you settle on something, it's okay to like keep at it until like the ROI is no longer there. And to me, with React, the ROI is still there. So I'm here, and I don't care about what Angular does or what Vue does. Exactly. It's like a tool. You know what I mean? It's like if you work on a startup or if you whatever, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You know, we as techies, we like to talk about it a lot, but at the end, it doesn't matter. So edits do. I'm not sure like. I'm not sure like what do you want exactly? I don't mean that in a challenging way. But I'm trying to understand what you don't understand. Yeah, but I don't understand what you don't understand about like hash tables as a concept. You know what I'm saying? Oh, dude, hash tables are used all over the place. It's not even like there is no one program that isn't using a hash table. It's like there is nothing that cannot use them. So what is it like a JS JS bin I think. Is it JS bin? Yeah, let's do JS bin. Not JS bin. Let's do code bunk. Let's do code bunk. Here, let's do a new bunk.
Well, a hash table is just a
yeah,
just a hash.
Just a hash. I mean, yeah, it's called a hash table. It's called a hash. It's called whatever. You know what I'm saying? So in JavaScript, right? So let's talk JavaScript. JavaScript. Where's JavaScript? Oh, there it is, JavaScript. So in JavaScript, hash table is really simple to understand, right? It's const a equals to an object, and this object has keys. So for example, name equals to Avi, and then age equals to 35. Not 25. That was 10 years ago, Avi. And then this is Avi, right? So this is a hash table in JavaScript, essentially. And all a hash table is, so a hash table is a way to map a key to a value. The key can be any object, and the value can be any object. So for example, if you talk about like something with like a statically typed language, then a hash table will look like something like this. So for example, const whatever equals to like a hash table, and this is pseudocode, right? So hash table with a string and a number. So then the hash table can only contain strings as the key and only numbers as the value. And there is no program that doesn't use hash tables. I mean, there is no useful program that's not using a hash table of some sort of an object that maps between keys and values. And if you want to use it, so for example, then you will do something like function of get name, and you passing the object or O, and you passing the field, right? And then here you will say, for example, so this is Avi, and this is going to be Stevens, right? And Stevens is here, so Stevens, and age is 27 or 8, Stevens?
21.
Come on, Stevens. All right, so I'll put 27. And then for example, what you can do is you can do console.log and then get name, and you can pass in Stevens and the field name, right? And then you can pass in Avi here, and then the field name. All right. So here, yeah, that's true. I'm mixing Python and Ruby and JavaScript together. So then here you can do this, and then you can do this, and then you can do this, right? So then here you do return O and then field, right? So then if I run this, what happens? Yeah, so I get Stevens and then Avi, right? And then what happens is I can also do if like something has this key, right? So then you can also check if the object has this key. So you can actually check if field in O, then you can do this, return this. Otherwise, you return does not exist. Right? So if I do this and I do something underscore name, then what I should get is Stevens, Avi, and does not exist. Right? So this is a hash table in JavaScript. I just need to stack up the keys to point some values. Yeah, exactly. It's like it's an object with some keys that point to some value. All right. And Mr. Cheap Zero. So should I not count on a subscription from you, Mr. Cheap Zero? Is asking, hey, KensoDev, what's the best way to get a programming job, assuming you have experience coding? Dude, I've said that many times. I'm just kidding, by the way. Just kidding. You definitely don't have to subscription. You definitely don't have to subscribe. Just kidding. So I've said it many times on the stream. And I think what you should do, and what should everyone do, is really simple. You need to put yourself in a different stack than everybody fucking else. Everybody. How do you put yourself in a different stack? When you're a senior engineer, it's your blog, it's your LinkedIn, it's your professional network, right? That's your different stack. You literally never submit a CV and never talk to a recruiter ever in your fucking life. As a junior engineer or someone that knows how to code, but doesn't have a lot of experience, that like putting yourself in a different stack is talking to people. And that means going to meetups, shaking hands, printing business cards and putting them in people's hands and saying, look, I'm looking for a job. If you hear about something, and if you literally are in a different stack than the 35 other chumps that submitted their CV through like Workable or through whatever, right? So this is the way to get a job. Topcoder187, thank you for the follow, man. Much appreciated. So yeah, so that's kind of my recipe. And I think a lot of and I think a lot of people just miss it, and they submit their CV and they're in the same stack, and when you're in the same stack, it's like so arbitrary. It's so arbitrary, and people just start to think about themselves as like losers just because they're in the same stack as like 35 other people. You know, if you put yourself in a stack with like 35 other people, you have one in 35. I mean, come on, what are the chances of that? You know what I mean? What are the chances? You know, when I got hired this like March, I was in a stack of 1. You know, so I either got hired or I don't get hired, but I'm in a stack of 1. I am not in a stack of like, when I sit on the bench waiting for my interview, I'm not waiting with like 5 other people that are like waiting to interview with me, you know? So I go to an interview, I'm like 1, and that's it, you know? And Mr. Cheap Zero is asking, do you stream often? So I stream three days a week, usually at 8 p.m. PST, but sometimes I stream through the day as well. And you can jump on the Discord, join the Discord, and so join the Discord, and then you'll get updated on when I stream and what and who and why, and you can. Sorry about that. Just 1 second. All right. All right. So thank you all for being here, and we're gonna see everybody tomorrow. At 8 p.m. PST. Thank you for all the people that subscribed. Thank you for all the people that followed. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Peace.